Hello, this is Professor Bustillo-Booth. In this video, I will go over the kinds of questions you will need to develop in order to put together your survey for the marketing plan assignment for Management 282 Principles of Marketing. So the purpose of the marketing survey is to really understand consumer behavior around their wants and needs, and to inform your marketing strategies around the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. In terms of the skills and knowledge that you will be developing as a result of this marketing strategy, it's really around student outcome number 3 listed in your syllabus and highlighted here. And this is where you will conduct and document research findings to support the development of a marketing strategy. And let me kind of locate where that is in your marketing plan. This is the marketing plan diagram, and you'll find that there are 3 stages: planning phase, implementation phase, and control phase. Team project 1, or the planning phase, are the steps 1 through 2, and we've discussed that in a previous video. And in the implementation phase, this is the marketing strategy, and this is where you will conduct a survey in the step number 3, identifying opportunities as part of your segmentation, targeting, and positioning exercise. That exercise then will inform the strategies you will develop around the 4 Ps: the product, price, place, and promotion, and why the survey questions that you develop around lifestyle and demographics are going to be fairly important. Another way to look at this is in terms of where it will appear in the stages. So project 1 is in the planning, and then project 2, the implementation marketing mix, and you'll see here step 3, marketing opportunities, as part of the STP process. So that's where you will conduct a survey, and again, that survey will inform the kinds of strategies you develop for the marketing mix, or the 4 Ps. And then the last stage is project 3, where you put together some performance evaluation metrics and finalize your plan. As far as the paper is concerned, you will see that you will develop and discuss the survey components, the survey questions, your methodology, as well as your findings in the market opportunities. Yes, you see here in the marketing plan. This is the table of contents. All right, for the survey questions themselves, there are 2 parts, as I mentioned earlier. The first part are 7 to 10 lifestyle questions. They're relevant to the particular small business that you might have. So the set of questions you would put together for a restaurant will be different from a health and fitness center, which will be different for a coffee house, which might be different for another kind of business like landscaping or the like. Now the questions that you'll have here will really try to uncover consumer behavior, and here are the 5 stages around need recognition, information search, alternative evaluation, purchase, and post-purchase. So let me just go to that in terms and the kinds of questions you'll develop. And so in need recognition, you'll want to have questions that uncover the unsatisfied need. And typically this is around product and how it is expressed, the value of that product expressed in price. Although you can make an argument that you can also ask questions around place or delivery and promotion. But largely speaking, you want to sort of understand the product or the product here. All right, so the difference between the actual state and the desired state. So for example, as a consumer, my actual state might be, I don't feel very good about my body. And my desired state is, I would like to feel very good about my body. And the question you'll want to, or questions that you'll need to craft will help your company identify how your company can meet that particular need, so to fill that gap. So questions might be, to uncover how much time can you commit to work out a week, and you'll want to provide a range of options there: 0 or hours a week, 1 to 2 hours a week, 3 to 5 hours a week, and so on. All right, or just Saturdays or just weekends, something like that. And then how often do you eat out on a weekly basis? That could be a question that has something to do with um, the kinds of products that customers may be looking for in terms of what they consume, okay, or where they eat. So if you were in a restaurant, and you were offering healthy food, you'll want to know, how often somebody who wants healthy food eat out, or how many pounds they would like to lose a year, and how much are they willing to spend on a monthly fitness regimen. So these are the kinds of questions that will help you understand whether or not your company can meet that need, and whether or not there's an opportunity there, a need to be met. Okay. And so in the area of information search, you'll want to uncover how customers find their product or their service, and a lot to do with place or promotion. And so, a question might be, how did you come to learn of this coffee house? And the expectation is that because this is a class project, you will actually be conducting the survey on site. So for example, this is why it's asking this coffee house. And the kinds of options you might offer are things like near my home, near my work, from my coworker. I learned of it in social media, other, or word of mouth. And if you do choose, the option other, be sure to include a blank space where consumers can go in and fill in how it is that they learned about, the product or the service. In alternative evaluations, it can be assumed that customers have choices, and they'll want to evaluate their options, and you'll want to learn how they do that, so that it can help you with maybe through your promotions, or how you locate your service, or where services are delivered, right? So for example, rank the below in order of importance, and you can see here that you're defining what you mean by that. 1 is most important, 5 least important. When it comes to deciding on a restaurant, so you'll offer their options and their ability to rank, right? Taste, online reviews, location, maybe there's a coupon, friend, family, and so on. And so again, if you do an other, you'll want to let them be able to fill in that's blank space. So eventually customers will have to come to a decision, and you'll want to ask questions that uncover their trade-offs, this for that type of scenario. And so, for example, in this case, I have from 1 through 5, 1 being most important, rank the factors that most influence your decision to order pizza, whether it be price, location, taste, healthy options, speed of delivery, or other. And again, if you put in other, you'll want to allow for customers to fill in that blank, because that could be very informative to you, should you provide that. And then the post-purchase phase are questions that uncover what customers do after they purchase. And these questions can be any of the 4 Ps. And these questions really reveal whether or not you have an actual and returning customer. So questions might be like from 1 to 5, 5 being very satisfied. How satisfied are you with your visit today? Or from 1 to 5, 5 being most important, rank the below product, service, feature most important to you as a result of this visit. And so, you'll want to list those and allow for customers to rank them. And that is really revealing, because now it's after they have been exposed to the product. Now, as opposed to before, they had to make certain decisions, then during, and then there is sort of this after experience that they're now trying to figure out whether they're going to come back and be a returning customer. That'll be important for you to find out. Now, a few words on how you pose the question so that you are being very clear to your customer what you mean by your rank order. In this case, you'll see here from 1 to 5, there is a qualifier that says 5 being very satisfied. You'll want to be sure that for each of your prompt, you make that clear, because your previous questions may be, designating 1s and 5s very differently. So you'll want to be very clear that there's no confusion there. Now on to demographics. This would be the second set of questions, and there should be between 5 and 7 of them. And they're generally the group of questions that are descriptors of population groups. I'll give you an example here of what that might look like in a moment, but these are generally around gender, age, education, employment status, household income, household size, and ethnicity and background. Here you will see a snapshot template from SurveyMonkey, and I provided this link to you online, where you will see the kinds of questions that are typical and demographic kinds of questions. So, for example, gender, female, male, other, and then again, you'll want to have an area where people can specify. And in which category, and this is the age category, and you can see that there are ranges, and that's what you want, because if you don't put this in, if you just sort of leave it blank, customers are unlikely to fill in because they'll find them to be too intrusive. And so you'll want to provide the age range, and that actually is very sufficient. Here's the level of education, less than high school, degree, high school, GED, and so on. Here you'll find the employment status category, and you'll see that SurveyMonkey offered 6 options. What I would do here is break up the one that says employed, working 1 to 39 hours per week, and break that into 2. So one option would be something like, 30 to 39 hours per week, which would be considered full-time, and then 1 to 29 hours a week, which would be considered part-time. Currently, the way this is constructed, it doesn't capture that middle group that is working part-time, which is increasingly a large portion of our population. So you don't want to capture that. Here is another category around household income, and I would just go ahead and copy it as is. Again, I provide the link to you online, so you can just use what is captured here. Another category is on background and ethnicity, and you'll see, the usual categories are offered. If you wanted to break down the Mexican American, Chicano, Puerto Rican, and other groups here, you can also use this. That would be another category. But what I would also consider, and what you saw in my previous slide, is one around household size. And that could be a size of 1, so that would be a person, who may be just living by themselves. And then, you could also say 2 to 4, 5 and more, that sort of thing. And so that you can learn more about the living conditions of your particular customer group. So the question should appear as one survey. The first set will be the 7-10 lifestyle questions, as we discussed earlier, and then they will be followed by 5 to 7 demographic questions. You'll want to make sure those questions appear this way: 7 first, of the 7 to 10 the lifestyle questions, followed by the demographic questions. I'll explain that in a moment. And so again, the 7 to 10 lifestyle questions help you uncover consumer behavior, particularly as they can inform you around the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. And that this next set of questions are population descriptors. And you absolutely want to make sure that demographic questions appear last and not in the beginning or interspersed in the beginning or throughout. You want them as a block of questions that come at the end. And the reason being is that these kinds of questions, the demographic questions around gender, ethnicity, and the like, can influence the kinds of lifestyle questions. And that is, if you ask somebody how much they're making, they might start to think that, oh, I have to answer the way somebody of this income bracket needs to answer that question, and not necessarily reflective of their own wants and needs. All right. So I cannot impress this enough. You'll want to make sure the demographic questions come last. All right. So I hope that was helpful to you. If you would like to reach out to me and sit down with your team to go over your draft questions, I'm happy to do that. You can find me here in my office and during my office hours, or set up an appointment that works for both of us. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk with you again soon.